if I'm an entrepreneur or I'm a physician entrepreneur, which I would consider myself to be, what can I do right now, again, to save myself, A, which is what Dr. Sam was just talking about, but B, as a lifestyle medicine physician, entrepreneur, how can I take advantage of this very teachable moment where people are acutely aware that their lifestyle habits, as Dr. Sam mentioned, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, lung disease, smoking, these are modifiable, right? Yeah, he said you can't change your age and you can't lose 100 pounds overnight, but there are things that you can change rather quickly. And how do we take advantage of this pivotal moment and perhaps the most significant event in our lifetimes that we're all witnessing to make some changes for the better?
Yes, thank you. So yes, so lifestyle is really a powerful tool. Not just you can't, to the point that was taken, you can't change your being diabetes necessarily overnight, but you can rapidly change diabetic control. There was a recent study reported in Cell Metabolism looking at, for instance, blood glucose control in diabetics. And diabetics with good blood pressure control had a 99% survival from COVID. And those with poor control, they just steadily went down, the poorer the control, into the 11% at the very, poor control of diabetes, 11% death rate. So you can rapidly change control of diabetes overnight, as an example. And we know that when we change in foods, for instance, to less inflammatory foods and to more foods that have the highest antioxidant and phytonutrient.
What do you mean by those foods that are anti-inflammatory with phytonutrients and antioxidants?
So those foods are in the plant category. So, it's close to nature, whole food, plant-based is where you're going to get all the vast majority of phytonutrients and antioxidants to not only support the immune system if you will, in the near term, but to also nourish the microbiome, where so much of our gut microbiome is where our immune cells derive from. So we can do this quite rapidly. We know we can change the microbiome, gut microbiome, quite rapidly. We know we can change blood glucose quite rapidly with a change in food. And then when it comes to exercise, for instance, we know we can boost immunity right away with moderate exercise. 20 minutes of exercise can get an increase in the circulating immune cells for about 12 hours. So kind of coming back to every day, at least 20 minutes of exercise. So we know there's really real-time ways to boost immunity and real-time ways to turn around the clock on some of these chronic diseases, quite rapidly. So to the point of the index event or a pivotal event, people, to make this happen in the United States, people have this fierce autonomy, and they probably do everywhere, but I just know our country people don't like to be told to do anything. And yet, when people understood the value of masking, of social distancing, we were able to do it, right? People had to see its value, and they were able to do this self-care that affected not only themselves, but the collective good. What I hope will happen in this is that people will realize they are part of the larger solution. In other words, their self-care on other self-care things, how they eat, how they exercise, how they stress or don't, how they sleep, not only has an effect on them, it's not just making them feel better, but it actually has a collective good. When they're healthier, the pandemic's not going to be the next pandemic's not going to have such a high impact. Their job's not going to have as much of an impact. The domino effect won't be so profound. And so I think we really have to leverage that awareness, because it's almost like when people have a heart attack, they're open to change, in that you got to get them involved in that first week, and then it falls off. Life goes back to normal. we can't miss this event, this pivotal event, to talk to people about everything else about self-care, because it's also relevant even to COVID.